understand some of the things that transpire so far as geography is concerned. Later, we try to also look at the various methodologies that can be used in doing geographic inquiry, where we looked at the system approach as a method. We also look at the model-based approach. We look at the quantitative approach and that of the scientific approach. All these are areas that we looked at so far as the course was concerned. Then we also moved on by looking at issues of sources of geographic knowledge. Then last week we ended with some geographic thought, historical development so far as the subject geography, how it has evolved, right from the time of the 200 BC when Eratosthenes defined the concept geo and graphia as the writing of the earth. And so today we want to look at some skills in geography. Skills in geography. As a geographer, what are some of the skill sets that we must know and enable our learners to be also be inculcated or imbibed in our learners in order to make sure that we get the best out of our learners? And that's what we want to look at and end with some theories in geography. So that is what we're going to do today. Then we end for the blog. Okay. Now, having looked at it, I know that you have already gone through the material before today. So I want to take your view. When we talk of a skill, what do we talk about? What do we mean by a skill? Yes. What is a skill? When we talk of a skill. Okay, Prince, go ahead.
When we talk of a skill, is the ability to do something well.
The ability to do something well.
Yeah.
And the line.
Yeah, that is gained through, let's say, practice, training, or let's say, experience.
Okay. Okay. So some very key information that I wanted to you, like you have said. Well, not just to do it. Yes, Ibrahim.
Okay, so when we talk about a skill, we are referring to a capability to do something well.
Yeah, so the capability to do something well. That's great. I see Oseko for but before Oseko for I see Ima Amwa first.
All right, sir. So with skill, we are talking about proficiency or dexterity in doing something well.
The proficiency in doing something or what?
Proficiency or dexterity.
Dexterity. Okay. That's great. So okay, Oseko for let me hear you before.
Okay, so when we talk of a skill, we are talking about a specific expertise or competence in a particular area.
Specific competencies or expertise. But do you know that some people have been trained to be teachers, they have competence to be teachers, but in delivering, it becomes a problem.
Okay. Yes.
So, if you can add certain things to make it very codified, see the skill, yes, it could be competencies, could be those things, but the person could have it. But in the exhibition of that, it may not be as compared to somebody. That's why I say some people they are born teachers, who others too they are trained teachers and all those kind of things. So the emphasis here is that you can talk about maybe a skill is the set of competencies, abilities, and all those kind of things. But there should be a key factor that these abilities makes you do something well, efficient, or effective, or proficient. These are very key things that must feature whenever you are defining the concept skill. Please, are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the contribution. So just as you have given it out, you have already. So we are saying that we are the proficiency or the capability, like we said, the ability to do something well, or the efficiency in performing an activity or act, the ability to perform something effectively or efficiently. And there are many skills that we can talk of in geography that we believe that there are many. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, but it breaks from time to time.
But is it better now?
Yes, please.
It's a bit stable.
Pardon?
Yeah, it's okay.
It's stable.
It's still breaking.
No, it's okay.
Okay, thank you. So in geography, there are a number of skills that learners must possess. And these are some of the skills that we are going to look at in this discussion. And there are 4 broad areas we are going to discuss these skills. These include motor skills, that of the spatial skills, intellectual skills, and that of what? Social skills. Social skills. But before we look at these 4 broad area skills and the various sub skills within it, one must pay attention when it comes to looking at issues of procedures in learning a skill or teaching a skill. As a facilitator or a learner, if you want to learn a certain skill, the first thing you must understand is to appreciate what skill do I want to learn. What skill as a teacher do I want my learners to inculcate? Is it communication skills? Is it drawing skills? Is it observational skills? Which of them? So the first thing you must be able to identify what skill. Having identified, you must also have an understanding of that particular skill. What entails, what involves. How can that skill be used? When we say observational skill, what does it mean? What goes into it? How can I learn it and learn it effectively? That is the first thing you must appreciate. And having appreciated that, the next thing is to, as a teacher or as a learner, try to work through some sample by using a simple strategy in trying to learning that skill. So more or less like you demonstrate for the learner to observe, or you guide the learner in a simple strategy or activity in acquiring that skill. That's why I said they need to work through a simple use of the skill under a careful teacher guidance, so that because the learner is yet to be exposed, is yet to familiarize himself, he has to become acquainted with the skill. So there's a need for that careful guidance so that it will not deviate or sway. I get it. So you need to understand what skills, what entails, how it should be used, and what it means. So far as that particular skill you want the learners to develop is concerned, there is a need as a teacher to work through a simple or a use of a work that skill will be demanded for it to be used, for you to guide the learners to do that. If you want them to discover it themselves, there's the need for guidance. If you, the teacher you are teaching, then you need to demonstrate some level of demonstration to that effect. Then there's also the need for learners to practice that particular some work they have done in acquiring the skill. That also said, the learner needs additional work practice in increasing complex variations of the skill, which must be applied in functional settings. And we always tell, it is said that practice makes man what? Perfect. Or that adage is no more working.
So please,
It's
it's still working.
working. It's
Ah.
working.
So there's a need for additional practice that the teacher must help the learner to go through in order to be able to develop mastery in that skill, in order to use it in a complex situations. And we said, don't forget that the second one is a simple use of the skill with a guidance. But as they continue to practice, there are other contexts that can be applied, which may be more complex than the simple use that was done in the stage 2. Then the last stage is that we are saying that there is still need for continued practice in the use of the skill over an extended period of time to maintain and improve mastery of the skill. So it's not just about you teaching the skill and going to sleep, but there should be a strategy or a careful developmental process. Developmental means that it's a process that must go through a gradual routine and activity over a period of time for the learner to develop that particular skill that you want the learner to develop. Okay. So, having said that, let's look at some of the characteristics of a skill. And we are saying that skills are developmental in nature and they need practice. So they are developmental and require practice. When we say developmental, in the sense that they are learned gradually over a period of time or years. You cannot learn a skill just as you stood from your bed and say, I have this skill, so I'm doing it, I'm putting it to practice. Yes, there are some people who are born with certain uniqueness, talents that by the time they without even learning, they're able to put it into use. That is a rare case situation or an exception that you can talk of. But in learning a particular skill, there is developmental in nature, means that you go through gradually over a period of time. It doesn't happen suddenly. It doesn't just happen within a day. That's why they also tell us a house is not built in a day. So building a house is developmental. It's gradual process. And there should be a point to organize your land, your blocks, cement. There's a foundation footings. Then the laying of the blocks, the lengthening, and other processes. So it's a gradual process that is learned within a period of time. Then we are saying that it also requires practice because the regular use of the skill will help learners to improve their skills as they develop their understanding of the concept and the subject as well. So we also need to continually practice, just as we have talked about in the procedures in developing or learning a skill. Okay. Now, we want to talk about the various types of skills in geography as we have categorized it in the 4 broad areas. So the first one I want to talk about is the motor skills. But before that, do you have any question on what I've said so far on the prelims before we go through these ones? Yes, Stephen, go ahead.
Sir, please, good morning.
Good morning.
Sir, with regards to the skills that we have to inculcate in the kit, you see, like our educational institution, when someone even goes to either university or college for 4 years, we are going to learn how to teach. But what do we do? What happened is that at the end of the year, that is when we go for how do we call it? We go for teaching practice when we're about to finish our course. So we realize that there are people who could not even stand in front of a class and experience or teach whatever they have been whatever they have learned, all because some of them they don't have the ability to speak in front of people. So in the course of teaching, I believe our institutions are also a bit factor, and they have to sometimes restructure those things so that people will have one-on-one interaction with the lecturer when it comes to teaching or practical aspects for a long time before completing the course.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much. Ima, I'll make a comment on Steven's submission, but Ima, let me hear you first.
All right, sir. So I am about to make some comments on Stephen's submission.
Please go ahead.
So he was looking at the teaching practice aspects of our training. But brother Stephen, don't forget that during your college days, you did some presentation, group discussions. All these are skills that the school wanted us to learn at that time, because if you want to be a teacher, it's not only about teaching, how to even communicate. So if you have been able to lead a group discussion, in fact, you have learned a skill. So it is not only about the teaching practice aspects. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for the contribution. Yeah, in fact, Steven's case is a genuine one. Myself, as a teacher educator, I have experienced that in my class. In fact, I start with my student in level 200, curriculum studies in geography. One, I did share some assignment. I made them went to the field, to the classrooms, to other places for information to come and present. It will shock you that one person was presenting, university student. He was presenting, he mentioned a word and he got the word wrong. And when people, the class, hey, she started crying. Another person too, he just stood in front and tension, so he couldn't say a word. You get it? Now, so at the university level and those things, just as Nima is saying, we now incorporate some of these presentations, field engagement and all those things to help improve their confidence level, their communication, interactions, and all those things. But beyond that, even now, there's a GTEC policy. No, this one is NACA. NACA together with GTEC. And I believe that we all know them. Now, the new curriculum that has been developed in line with the standard base. If you are an education student being trained to become a teacher, you start school, what we call STS. Right from, for them, they even wanted us to start from level 100. And we said for UCC, when we're developing the pro, I developed that of the geography curriculum for the new standard base. That is the university one, not the secondary school one. Which there are new courses we have even introduced there. Courses like climate change education, courses like geography education and sustainable development, and a number of new courses have come into this one. That's why this nature of geography, initially it was 200 and we have shifted to level 100. That's why this time you see that GD in the course area, there has been a number of changes that have been done. So now, what is happening is that all those, yes, someone is saying in college they start the STS from level 100. Yes, what we used to call a school observation. So now even in the university, with the new curriculum which we are starting in January, the students are going to start STS from level 200. In the university, we said at level 100, you have not learned a lot to be able to go for school observation and be, so it's better 200. So 200 first semester, you go, second semester, you go for school observation. And these are all credit hours that you be graded. 300, you go. Then you do micro teaching as well in the school for us to teach your own colleagues to observe and assess you, shape you. Before 400, you go for the off campus for 12 credits or 15, 12 credits. Then when you come to the final year, we have what we call the STS, that is a reflection on the practicum that you went to do. So I think that Stephen's concern is a genuine one, and I think with the new standard base and care, that issue has been catered for. So there wouldn't be a situation the person will have to stay in the classroom until final year, first semester, and go for off campus. No, that thing will be a thing of the past. So now, right from level 200, I am talking about University of Cape Coast. Right from level 200, they will be going for STS. school observation and all those kind of activities. From 200, before 400, they will do the full 12 credits where they will be teaching them by themselves. Okay, so thank you. And I know the college level, as one of your colleagues have indicated, they start from first year for school observation. So these are all part of things to do to help address some of the issues that has been raised by Stephen. So thank you very much, Stephen, and thank you. Is it Nima who added up with the Stephen contribution? Thank you.
Yes, please.
So we're looking at motor skills, and when we in geography talking about motor skills, unfortunately, maybe the day that we'll be talking about standard the curriculum studies, I will show you a typical example of the curriculum I'm talking about and what goes through into it and those things. Okay. Unfortunately, that this course, then because of the numbers, we are not able to do face to face. Other than that, I would have come with the actual document to show you to you how a curriculum looks like. What you have normally they give you is a syllabus, the teacher's manual, and some other information. But the curriculum itself normally they don't give it out to teachers. They give you a miniature sort of.
But sir, I believe
Okay.
you can show it to us when you like on the screen, maybe one day.
Yes, well, that's when we are doing curriculum studies. I will show it on the screen to let you know what goes into it. All right.
Okay, sir.
Now, motor skills. When we talk of motor skills in geography, motor skills is basically talking about the ability to use tools, methods, processes, procedures, and techniques in geography. And so we are talking about certain tools that are used in geography, certain methods, processes, procedures, and techniques that are of use in geography. And there are various examples of all types of motor skills in geography. One of them is communication skills. So we all know that communication is the ability to pass information from one person to another, the sender and the receiver, among others. And that information you are passing, it should be information that can be well decoded and understood by the person receiving it and also be able to give you feedback. So we say that it is a process of passing an understandable message from one person to another. And we all know that communication is very key when it comes to geography or teaching and learning what activity. Everything comes in a form of communication. It could be verbal, it could be non-verbal, it could be written communication. It could be a number of different forms of communication. And so we are saying that in geography, learners are taught communication skills such as what? Listening, ability to listen. That's why as a teacher, it's important that when your students are speaking to you, you also have to pay attention and listen to them, focus on them. There are some teachers, whilst their students are busy giving an answer, they're also busy writing on the board, or they are busy holding their phones flipping, or they are busy looking elsewhere. That is not a good signal. You must listen, pay attention to your learner giving the response to give an indication that you are interested in the response he's giving. You are interested in what he's saying. But where you do not do that, it's like you are so much not interested in the response the learner is giving. Articulation of views. You have to encourage student views, divergent views, without embarrassment or without intimidation and frustration. So that when the person says something is doing wrong, we don't laugh at the person. We don't poo-poo the person. We don't make the person feel bad for giving a wrong answer. Appreciate. You must encourage divergent views. Writing, they can also work on their communication skills. And we are saying that this can be done through activities such as through your lectures. Communication takes place, are taught there. Discussions among themselves. It builds their divergent views, tolerance, teamwork spirit, assignment, and figure. These are all activities that can help you build their communication skills. We also have observational skills as one of the motor skills. And we all know that as geographers, one of our laboratory, we say that the earth surface is the laboratory of the geographer. The earth is our laboratory. And if the earth is our laboratory, one of the basic tools of the geographer is observation. Because if anything occurs, you cannot just sit in your room and just describe. As a geographer, if you hear that something has happened, the first thing you do, you have to ask the question, what? What has happened? Hey, you said that an earthquake has occurred in Makati Hill. Having asked what, the next question you ask is where, location. Is that also?
Yes, please.
Yes,
Where?
please.
Yes,
So
sir.
the where means that you must go there, the location. So when you go there, you go to observe. As you observe the occurrence and the nature and form of the occurrence, then you can begin to describe the occurrence. And in your description, you offer explanation. And that is where, talking about where, you can, having answered the where, you can answer the question how it occurred. So by you describing the process of its occurrence, you offer explanation to answer the question why is this happening, and then you can also go a step further to answer the next question of when. And you could see that all the 5 questions geographers basically ask have fall in line. So observation is very critical when it comes to geographical knowledge. So we are saying that students are trained to be able to observe in order to make valid description and explanation. Without you going to the site and observe, you may make a description and explanation which may be far from what is the reality. And we are saying that observation are influenced by perception, training, and experience. So the learners must be trained how to observe. If you observe, what are some of the things that could trigger your mind to offer certain explanation? And that is why you need to have some training in the area, so that if you know that earthquake occur, what could be the possible causes, what could be the result, and that's why we are able to predict that if this is happening, if we are not careful, it may lead to this. Because of the training we have had in the area, and because of some experience from other jurisdictions we have seen on TV, news, and those things, vis-a-vis with our perceived perspective that we also have. Then we also have what we call description as another skill under communication. And here we say the ability of a learner to describe the nature of phenomenon using the available evidence. You have gone to the field, you have seen it yourself, vis-a-vis with your training, your experience you have. You bring it together to offer a description, to describe the form, the nature, and how of the occurrence. So we're able to use concepts in geography such as situation, site, environment, directionality, and all these things to be able to explain the happenings within that area. Then we have drawing skills. And we all know that in drawing skills, there are 2 forms. We have the freehand sketch, that is the sketching, that one which is not drawn to scale, and we have the one that is drawn to scale. So of various maps, diagrams, and graphs and charts that we have in geography, these are all skills that people are able to put to use for us to have maps to read from, for us to have diagrams, graphs, and charts in the subject area. And these are forms of communication. Maps communicate to us. Diagrams, craft, and all those things communicate to us as geographers. Then we have the use of equipment as another motor skill. So the use of equipment in geography, there are several equipment that we use when it comes to measurement, when it comes to geographical inquiry or field work and activities. And these are all forms of what? So information instruments like rain gauge, we all know, sunshine recorder, barometer, range pole, chainsaw, measuring that we use for traversing when we are doing the surveying, range pole. But these days, there's even more modernized devices like the remote sensing, the drone, and we have some geodetic devices that are used with the all in that you don't need to go and use this the chain, the range pole, and those things. Yes, though we still use the pole to help in those geodetic surveying and all those things, but there are modern equipment and devices like the drone that you can fly a drone to a certain altitude to capture a spatial data image, and that image can be worked on to get you a true map of an area. And these are some of the modern ways of we generating maps for geographical studies. And so in terms of measurement, learners are exposed to use survey equipment such as chain and compass in fieldwork activities. And this helps us for them to maybe do certain form of activities like taking transit, open and close traverse, which I talked about earlier on. So use of equipment, they are all part of motor skill measurement and counting. In every fieldwork activities, we do some form of counting. For example, this population census is a typical example of counting. Traffic census, housing census, these are all examples which all fall under human geography, which also borders in the area of geographical studies. And these are all examples of skills under motor skill. Any question on that before we continue with the spatial skills or any contribution? Okay, so spatial skills, these are skills employed in the use of maps and globes. These are skills that are used in the use of employed in the use of maps and globes. And we know that geography without maps and globes, eventually the subject is handicapped. Because these are vehicles that are used to represent the earth symbolically. And don't forget that when we talk of, I told you that anytime you hear the word spatial, we are talking about space. And when we talk about space, we are talking about earth as a space. So some of the essential skills that you can, map reading skills that you can observe under spatial skills, we have orienting a map or noting direction. So directional orientation. So in geography, learners are taught how to note certain orientations, certain features on the map, and certain directions. So that when you see the directional arrows and all those, you'll be able to appreciate where it's starting from and when it is ending. That's why I said the easier direction to use on maps and globes are those that express relative locations, such as close to, near, over there, or over here. Or you can also use cardinal point. And when we talk of east, west. So for example, when learners are able to associate the east and west with the rising and the setting of the sun, these are all some things that learners are exposed to and able to deduce in noting directions and also orienting some information so far as orienting maps and noting directions are concerned. Then also what we can look of locating places on maps and globes. One, if a learner or can be able to do that, he must first be taught how to locate places. And in locating places, you can easily start with them with places that they can easily locate. Don't start with them places that is difficult for them. If you want them to know how to locate places on maps and globes, you first teach them how to locate places. And when you teach them, let them be able to locate places that they know. They close, they know, they have experience of on maps. So maybe if they are from Eastern region, and you have a, let's say, Afan Prince district, you know that Afan Prince, they have a district map. You can use that district map with the various communities in there. And since the student is within that district and he knows his community, you can first teach them using that district map of Afan Prince, so that that student can be able to use that district map to identify his community within the district. And that's a starting point in how to help learners to locate places on maps and globes. So normally when you are dealing with it at the basic level, learners must learn the names and shapes of some of the major geographic features, such as continent, ocean, the equator, and the poles. That's why gone are the days at the basic level, geography was taught through Capes and Bayes approach. Capes and Bayes approach is where the only name of places, identification of reliefs, and all those kind of things without any rigorous explanation to that effect. But when it comes to the higher levels, which is the tertiary level, students can be taught how to use coordinates to locate places. So you can the GPS and all those kind of systems of coordinates to locate the. So for example, you know the street address system that we have, where we have the CK, so, where people use this car people may use to locate the place, and all those things are all examples of system of coordinate that can be used at the higher level. You can also use longitude and latitude of the place to help you determine the exact location of that place to get you there. We also have the use of scales and computing distance on maps. Use of scales. When we talk of scale, scaling is the process of reducing everything in the same amount. So when you see a map and they will tell you that 1 to 2,000 or 2,500 or 1 to 50,000. So what we are trying to tell you is that we have reduced the whole landscape into that amount, but it gives you the same picture or information of what you want to project. So scaling enables the learner to be able to represent geographic phenomena on paper by way of maps. And we all know there are three main types of scales: the ratio or representative fraction scale, the linear scale, the statement scale. And we know that in the statement scale, these are in the form of statements. And the ratio, as we all presented, in the form of 1:, that kind of, then the linear scale, which is also features in a more or less like the normal line, showing the figures. So these are the three types of scales that we have. So we are saying that learners should be trained in the use of these skills through project work or field work activities, especially when it comes to the map work and all those practical activities, so that they can able to. And that means that if they are able to work through, they must be trained well in the area. In fact, one of the unfortunate problems is that it appears that most of our students, when it comes to the practical geography, especially when they are using the topo sheet, the contour and those things, they have a difficulty as compared to the human geography subjects and the physical geography. I don't know where the problem is, whether it's the teachers at the basic senior high school who are not doing justice to it well, or I don't know what is happening down there. Next week I'll be going for supervision, so maybe I intend to find out one of two things in some of these areas. I'll be going to schools in Accra, like Achimota, St. John's Grammar, Amasama Senior High, Adenta Fafraha, Community Senior High Schools. So those who are in Accra will be visiting within your zones. They should learn how to convert actual distance on the ground to the desired distance on paper through the use of any types of these scale. See, yeah, so if the foundation is not strong, it obviously will affect the person's ability to continue when it's going up in the area. They should also be taught how to convert distance measured on maps to the actual distance on the ground by the use of the scales. So it is a scale that enables us to do all these measurement conversions and all these calculations so far as maps and scale maps are concerned. We also have reading map symbols. Reading map symbols. So in reading map symbols, we expect that teachers will not only help students to locate, but they should also be able to read certain map symbols and what it means. Okay, Edisa Poku Samuel, your hand is up.
Yes, so I want you to highlight on the definition of a scale again.
Oh, why you didn't get it when I mentioned?
Yeah.
Can anyone help him for me? Anyone?
So is it the scales or the scale?
Scale.
So with the scale, we are looking at the measurement between distance on the map and then the actual distance on the ground. So if, let's say, you want to draw a map of Ghana depicting relief features, you cannot get the entire area. So you use a scale. Let's say 1 centimeter is to, let's say, 1,000 kilometers. That is a scale. So meaning you are reducing the real object into understandable one on the paper. So the scale that you use is the one that will help you to do that. So that is a scale. The measurement, distance on the map, and then the distance on the ground.
Okay, thank you for the contribution. Is there, I think there's another hand. Let me see. Augustine, please go ahead.
Sir, please, is there any difference between a verbal skill and a statement skill? Because in some books you see a verbal skill instead of a statement skill.
And what is the verbal skill talking about? I have not seen that. So if you have seen it, can you share with me?
Okay, sir. The verbal skill, normally they said it's described the skill in words. Like an inch equals to a mile. They describe it in
that
words.
Is a statement.
So I'm asking if you don't see a statement, you can see a verbal in any of our exams coming.
Well, so per the definition you have given, then it falls within statement skill. But well, I have not come across any of so far the books that I've read verbal. Maybe it's a new terminology they want to add to that of the statement skill. That's fine. But I have not come across any verbal. But if per the description you have given, then it's under statement skill. I get in it.
Okay, thank
you see,
you, sir.
the essence of the skill. Oh, Stephen, you want to say something?
Yes, sir.
Please go ahead.
Sir, please, the scaling issue, scaling is the process of reducing everything in the same amount. Hello.
Yes.
Yes. So, say like what our brother said, the distance on the ground, we convert the distance on the ground onto the distance on the paper, so that the actual distance on the ground can be converted in a smaller way, so that we will be able to draw the particular object on the paper. So that's reducing it in a smaller way for it to fit. on a sheet of paper.
Okay, thank you. I think a lot has been said on this. So you see, what I just want to add is, I see the essence of the skill is to help you appreciate, just like when you take the map, it will give you the features and other information that if you had gone to the actual place, you could get that features. Just that in this context, it has been transposed in a form of a paper, on a paper, and the scale gives you an idea of that measurement. That's why all the submission that has been given tells you that it's 1:2. Normally it's either 1:2 2,500, and at times you see some 1:5,000, and all those kind of things, depending on the kind of thing that you are activity you are engaging in. So the contributions that I've given, they are all in line, and I don't need to add more to that. I don't know, the one who asked the question, I don't know if we have been able to help you. Hello?
I'm okay.
Thank you very much. So, in trying to have reading map symbols, one of the key things that is very important for learners to know is the legend or the key. Because some of the legend or key we see in maps tells you certain feature and what it stands for. So if student wants to read map symbols, one of the key things that we must help learners to learn is the use of the legend or the key. Also, as teachers, when teaching map symbols, we must let students know what are these symbols represent. So for example, in a map, you could see an area with evergreen. You will see an area on the map with a light blue form of area. These are symbolic things. What does it mean? What does it in a real situation? What does it represent? Where you may see first class road, second class road, third class road, and fourth, which all have a different symbolic representation. When you see a hospital, a church. So these are symbols that learners must be exposed to so that they know what these symbols really represent. So that when they see it in any other map or feature, they will be able to identify. Normally, if a map and you have area which is sea blue, we say that is ocean. Or if it is evergreen, or we say vegetation. We have how first class road looks like, second class road, third class road, and even fourth part. So one must recall both the reading and interpretation skills learners must be exposed to. Anybody in so doing that, you must check the level of understanding, the maturity level and the background of the learner. Because some of these things, if you are teaching it at a level, that's why the basic level, we don't put so much pressure in this map reading and interpretation and all those things. Mostly it's at the senior high school. Then when it comes to the university, we elevate it up. So some of these things also depend heavily on the maturity level of the students who are being exposed. Likewise, their background, experiences of what they have been going through so far as the subject matter is concerned. So one of the things you can use, that you can maybe also use some less expensive area photographs of your community, local community. You can also use it to help your learners, like the scenario I cited. So if I I mean, in Sawom district or municipality. Then Sawom district or municipality has a map. It can be an area photograph generated map or whichever form that can be used to help learners to study the symbols in there, their communities and all those things, to be able to help them appreciate best the map reading symbols and even how to teach map symbols in this regard. So these are some of the ways that we can help learners to be able to understand, read map symbols, interpret them, and also teach map symbols to our learners in our various communities we have. Because if the person doesn't know Northern region, then you bring a map of Ghana that it should show you certain features in Northern region. No, Northern region. You see, so you start from his immediate environment, what he's familiar with. Then you can snowball them into areas that they don't have experience in the area. So map interpretation, we are saying for children to understand map interpretation, they must first learn the meaning of map symbols, which we have talked about, and be skillful in orienting a map to direction, and must be able to recognize and use map skills in order to have some map interpretation skills. So when teaching this skill, the teacher can place an area photograph of a local areas side by side with a conventional map. And this is to help the learner be able to have some form of comparison, have some form of appreciation of what entails in the area photograph of his local area vis-a-vis the conventional map they have, in order to be able to analyze and draw some appreciation and sense from both of these photographs that have been presented to help their understanding in the area of map. We also have what we call understanding relative location. And when we talk of relative location, we all know what we are talking about. Determining the position of a place in relation to landmarks or what any other feature that can help you. And we are saying that in understanding relative location, this is an interpretive skill that requires information beyond that provided by the map itself. Because in trying to, the map may give some information. That's why in the map, you look at the north-south, east-west divide of the whole map, and all these things. That's why I see when you pick a map, you do not only be in a haste to look at the features in there. You must be careful with the legend, the map direction, and all those things are very critical to give you an appreciative understanding of what the whole concept of the map we are talking about entail. So a typical example that we have, for example, when you see most of the people, the Asians, the non-Asian people, and even many Asian people in Hong Kong, they feel closer to Great Britain, even though the distance from that place to Great Britain is 10,000 miles away, than they do to the people of Republic of China, which is from Hong Kong to China is less than 20 miles away. And the reason is that is because of the nature of the political, social, and economic ties that they share. So if you want to appreciate their relative location, the best thing is for you to line it with Britain because of this political, social, and economic ties they share. They make them feel closer to Great Britain than even China, which in terms of distance, China is closer than that of the Great Britain. So that is why it is important that you don't only look at one aspect of the entity when you are trying to appreciate some of these things. And also, you see, in distance wise, some people can also express distance in terms of time, apart from the miles and kilometers. So someone say, oh, from Accra, Cape Road to Accra is about, let's say, 120 kilometers. That is absolute distance. Then, but when someone from Cape Coast to Accra is about maximum by 3 hours you should get there. This is relative distance. So he's telling you the distance in relation to time, and that's relative distance. Some also may determine the distance from place to point in terms of money. So some say, from a Cropon to Medina, it's just 14 cities. 14 cities will take you there to tell you that, it's not far. So that's relative distance. So even in distance, we have absolute distance and relative distance. Are you with me?
Sir,
sir.
Okay.
Okay, so please with this one, you are talking about the absolute distance and the relative distance. So you come again, please. Thank you.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that absolute distance is where we use kilometers, miles, I getting it, in determining the distance between 2 points. So for example, if I tell you that from Cape Coast to Accra is about 180 kilometers. It's 180, that is absolute. Or like the example I made is 10,000 miles. These are absolute distance. But where I tell you that, from Cape Coast to Accra, it's about maybe maximum 3 hours. Maximum should be 3 hours. It's telling you the distance from Cape Coast to Accra in relative terms. Because that 3 hours, maybe only bedi, but Obi should be spending less than 3 hours. Obi should be spending 4 hours. That's why I say it's relative. Then some also determine distance in relation to money. So some will say, from Cape Coast to Accra, it's just 50 cities or 60 cities. You get to Accra, trying to tell you that, it's not far. That sort of, and that is a relative distance. Because another thing you must appreciate is that in terms of money, it's not every vehicle that takes the 60 cities. There are some vehicles that take 70, some vehicles take 80. Okay, Elijah, your hand is up.
Yes. Now, I was to ask that using money as one of the relative distance or to describe distance in geography, is it allowed?
But it's a concept in geography. It's a concept. That's why we call it relative distance. But if we have absolute location and relative location, where we can say that, if you want to locate, let's say, I want to use maybe a Cape Coast. And we are saying that, Cape Coast, University of Cape Coast, just directly opposite Amin Sangari. Means that he's using Amin Sangari, but another person may use a different, maybe adjacent this or that. That's how we say it's relative. And it's a concept in geography. I'm sure you'll be doing regional analysis and development planning. So you'll be looking at these concepts that I've been talking about, regional analysis and development as part of your course. And these are some of the concepts you'll be talking about. So there's a concept called relative distance in geography, and it's allowed. Can't you tell somebody that, from Cape Coast, and your things by 60, 70 cities, over to me, Accra, 60 cities, over to me, Accra. He's telling you the distance in terms of money.
Can I say something?
Okay.
Okay, but before that, Stephen's hand was up, so let me hear Stephen before I come to you.
Oh, so you can let him talk.
Okay, so please go ahead.
Please, I want to say it is allowed in terms of the money because it helps you determine, let's say, if you have calculated the amount of money that you want to use in going to a place. Like, let's say, right now, most of the cars, transportation that we, there are differences in their prices. They have released a car that is now called Vox, Toyota car called Vox. The amount that they take
it's very higher more than the sprinters and the team. But they all goes the same range. They all goes the same place. So it depends on you. Let's say the person will tell you that, oh, when you take a sprinter to, let's say, it take 60 seconds, but you wouldn't feel a little bit comfortable. But with the box, it is very comfortable. You will be relaxed. The car moves correctly. You wouldn't feel anything when you get down. But for that one, they take 80. So it depends on you. So it's allowed. Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
thank you very much. Now, the use of globe is another skill under spatial skills. And we all know that a globe is one of the geographic objects that gives us some information about the earth we all live on. Obiara hu asase a yɛte so, obiara hu the details in terms of the longitude, the latitude, but it's a globe that gives us a partial view, a picture, a simplified view of the earth. And so we are saying that teachers should help learners to locate places they hear on the globe. And like I said, it is through the globe that you're able to really identify the longitude and latitude. I'm not sure when you are walking on the earth, you're able to identify the longitude and the latitude on the earth that you are walking on. So it's the globe that is able to give us this picture. It's the same globe that we are able to discover areas on the globe that is water. In terms of those areas on the globe that are seen to be sea blue and those things, these are all water areas. Then land areas for settlement and other forms of vegetations and all those things. And we all know that the whole earth is covered by almost 70-something% of water. Is that also from physical geography? And I believe you have done that. When we were talking about the spheres of the earth.
70%.
Yeah, yes, please.
Is that
71.
what percent? Yeah, 71 point something percent. Then the earth, I think the earth is it 21 or 29 point something percent? Yeah, 21
Yes, it's
point something.
29 point something.
Yes, percent. So that should tell you that the whole earth that we live on is the greater part is occupied by water. You see, and it is a globe that is able to give you that picture. And that's why the use of globe are very, very important. Also, the North Pole, South Pole, the Great Meridian, Equator, continent, oceans, these are things that are represented on the globe that helps us to appreciate the earth that we are on. Then we come to social skills. That is a third broad skill. And by the name itself gives you an idea of what we are trying to talk about. So in terms of the social, these are skills which help students or learners to develop desirable habits, work ethics, attitude. So in your second quiz, there's a question like that I asked in an objective format. So you could see that I made it in the form of maybe a situation where students through that they're able to learn how to be teamwork spirit and all those kind of things among them in the classroom, what type of skills being inculcated and stuff. So, and options have been given that you select from. So that is, someone would say, a bonus question. Anyway. Yeah, Ejo Drew.
Please, I'm also looking at the communication skills with the social skills. Please, can you bring the communication in here? Because of, as you were talking about, how to do group work, then how to collaborate with your colleagues. I'm also looking about the communication skill that it can also come in here.
No, I said this one, the emphasis is social.
Okay.
Though in some of all the, see, communication cuts through every facet of activity. There's communication.
Okay, sir.
Are you getting it?
Yes, please.
But the underline here is the social that we are talking about.
Oh, okay, sir.
Mhm.
Thank you.
So, because for example, when we talk of group, so because for a group participation, say group participation, they answer umbe kasa, umbe communicate ana.
Yes, sir. They are going to communicate.
Yeah. So these habits, work ethics, attitude are developed through activities such as small group discussions, or cooperative activity. So just as some of them there, so examples of social skills we are talking about: group participation, discussion, decision making, interpersonal, organizational skills, and these are all examples. Now, when we talk about group participation skills, these are needed to make sure that our learners become team players, that each and every individual plays a role. That's why these days we encourage more of group activity than individual activity, because there's even this adage there: when you pick a broom, when you pick one, you're able to break it, but when you put all together, you are unable to break it. Is that not so? I'm saying, prior we back where book a boom my day. So these skills are needed by both learners and teachers, so that in a group participation, there are leadership who must lead a group. So the student becomes a leader, and how he's going to manage the other students who are the followers. You see, and these things are best inculcated when you apply certain teaching methods such as projects, problem-based learning, discussion, fieldwork activity, cooperative learning, and even learners engaging in role play, and all these things are some of the methods that they're able to demonstrate this group participation skills. Because even a role play, though it's a teamwork, but everybody's having a role to play. It is a field work. They are working in groups. There's that spirit of tolerance, appreciating each other's views, and all those leadership skills where the leader will raise up your hand before you are called to make your submissions, and even appreciating each other's view, not condemning anybody, tolerance, you see, and respecting each other's view. And that also helps to harness that interpersonal, you see, skills that learners are need. And these are the skills we advocate for in this 21st century. Because now we even appreciate the fact that we live in this global world. Whatever is happening in other world happens to us. So we are not an island on our own. We depend on each other to survive. So we are saying, for example, a leader needs to demonstrate exceptional organizational skills, and other members must demonstrate a variety of skills such as playing their role as either innovators, contributors, monitors, and evaluation, so that teamwork and all those things are things that must be demonstrated whenever we are talking about group participation skills. Then we have discussion skills, and there are two forms. So in terms of the discussions, we have what we call the substantive and that of the procedural, procedural and the substantive skill as well. So the substantive discussion dimension or skill, this refers to the content of a student's contribution to the discussion. Then the procedural is the way and manner in which the learners participate in the discussion. That's why we have the substantive and the procedural. So, for example, when we are having the contribution I provide, the knowledge, the information I provide, whether it is good or not good, and the information, the knowledge I provide, that falls into the substantive. Then the way and manner in which the participation take place, I contributed, also deals with that of the a minute. Also deals with that of the procedure that we are talking about. The procedure we are talking about. So, for example, in terms of the substantive, as I said, the knowledge and the information that individual students bring to board and they bring so far as the contribution is concerned, and also their ability to support individuals' knowledge or information or viewpoints in the discussion that they are giving are all examples of what we call the substantive discussion dimension. Then the procedural, as I said, we are talking about the way students participate, whether they invite others to contribute or whether they make negative statements against their colleagues who are participating. That will also deter others from participating or otherwise. So that is why, as a team leader, when there's a group when they are discussing, a leader, you should be able to, there should be some parameters. When someone contributes, go straight and add your contribution. So you see that time people are going to say now, you see, yes, I have something to say. When John was speaking, he said, this is wrong in discussion format. You don't say when John was speaking, he said this, and me, I don't agree. It's wrong in discussion. So as a leader, you must be able to moderate these things that everybody's view must be respected. If you have a contract, just raise up your hand and share your view. Don't mention somebody's name and say that when John was speaking, he said this, that, and I disagree or I don't agree to it. You see, when you do that, it's more or less like a personal attack on John. John has said something. Raise up your hand.
Cyberbullying. Cyberbullying.
Pardon?
So I said that one is cyberbullying.
So that is why as a leader, you see, in training our learners, all these things are things that must be taken into consideration to help shape the process of discussion. Now, decision-making skills is also one part of the social skills. So we all know that a decision may be defined as a course of action chosen by the decider, which he may deem it as very effective means in trying to help achieve or solve a problem. So students can be taken through some phases of decision making, and you have 3 phases, which the first phase where students are taught by the teacher to become aware of decisions and decision making. So the first thing that the student must be exposed, what do we mean by decision? And how do we make decisions? The teacher must expose the learners to that so that they also become well familiar or integrated. Because students or learners themselves in their everyday life, they take decisions. One mommy mo school or be decide that the Messi. Some may decide that I'll save my money. Some may decide that I'll buy biscuits. Some may decide I'll save my money to go and buy something for myself during Christmas. These are all decisions that learners make every day in our daily lives. So you build it from there to let them know, because as children, we make decisions ourselves in our everyday lives, as our teachers also do. So you can use that to help them appreciate what decision means and how decisions are made. Then the next phase is that as a teacher, you must help your children to make a visual representation of their decisions that they have made. It can be in those decisions can be in a map view, what we call a decision map, or a tree form of map to give you ideas You know, every tree has the main root with the branches and all those kind of many aspects of it. So you help them to have a visual representation of the decisions that they have. They so that, example, if you have, let's say, a decision map. A decision map will ensure that there are various parts of the decisions that they have made, which will show on the map, and how these various parts relate to each other to help you to achieve your ultimate decision that you want to achieve. Just like a system, a system approach where the various parts work together to achieve a common goal. Then we have the last phase, which is the teacher models good decision for the children. So here, as a teacher, you demonstrate a decision map sketch. You can do it on a chalkboard or on a paper and share it with them, how he decided on the next unit of the study. So you see, even as a teacher, you can use your lessons as a form of decision map to decide how from here you needed to move on to this particular topic, maybe because of the sequence and the coherence nature, maybe because you need this topic as a prerequisite to be able to deliver the next topic. So example, how to handle a difficult class problem. In this way, children can see a decision being made thoughtfully. If there's an issue in the classroom, there can be a decision. For example, if people like talking in class, and that's a problem, together with the teacher, we can decide the kind of disciplinary measure. That's what in the discipline we call it a discipline with dignity method. Discipline with dignity method, where you, the teacher, do not decide what punishment, what kind of measures, disciplinary measures to be to employ, but you allow the student to do it, and you guide them to decide what disciplinary measures should be taken in class, so that when anybody misbehaves, we can apply it and otherwise. All these things can be done to be able to, and these are the forms of decision making in the classroom. Then we have other social skills that students can also it can be inculcated in students. For example, good citizenship skills, tolerance, respect for the environment skills, which are all very important social skills in the area of geography. Okay. Any question on that before we touch on the last one, which is the intellectual skills? Okay, then we talk of intellectual skills, which is the last broad skill. And when we say intellectual, intellect, so it's obvious that we are talking about the mental ability to apply information and concepts to the solution of a problem. To the solution of a problem. So we all know that this domain obviously fall under issues of critical thinking, which is supported by our ability to classify, analyze, synthesize, and evaluate what data. So one of the skills under intellectual skills is critical thinking. And critical thinking is one of the 21st century skills that every facilitator wants their learners to develop, because it enables learners to function effectively and efficiently within the environment. And one of the tool in developing critical thinking is questioning. You must question. So those of you who have children who ask a lot of questions, I'm going to say in question, allow them. Allow them. It's one of the ways that, see, let me tell you, children, the caliber of children that are coming, or the caliber of generational children who are coming, their intellect and their IQ are quite different. And at the very tender age, the kind of questions they ask, don't use your primitive Asians of days and your 19th century and 20th century ideology to curtail their growth. But in as much as we also want them to explore in the 21st century, they must be guided. They must be guided so that they don't go wayward. So if you have a child who questions everything, Mommy, why are you doing this? Mommy, why did you put this here? Mommy, yesterday you did this. Why? Please, if you have answer. If you don't have an answer, work together with her to find an answer the other time. But don't shut that child up. Say, hey, can't you do and paying some baby? Baby, say, go pay baby time. Me. Now, why I won't shut up? Why I won't shut up? Hey, I beg you, if SM fans are here, forgive me. It's just a slip of tongue. Okay, so we are saying that questioning is very critical because effective questioning has a greater potential than any other teaching methods for stimulating student thinking. So it is through effective questioning that students can develop their communication skills. So allow them. Unfortunately, in our secondary school, there was this lady. We tagged him Igoya Brewa. Hey, brofi, otipop or ranta, slangy, kokobi, brofi. The tunidin Igwe Abrewa. I was a Igua friend there, Kota Brobi, a bedroom son, Tebrofuna, Brofo be Yamon. So that's the name we tag her. It's yet almost the way this lady will be contributing, be asking questions, ranting here and there. See, hey, and the school the veggie daddy. And the funny thing is that when it comes to writing exams, it is bomb. I remember one of our geography exams. The headmaster happens to be the one who was teaching us geography. So I remember one of his papers, the headmaster cancelled what he wrote was nonsense and wrote you are big fools. And that day, the way, it was not nice, God, that very day. Please, there are people who can speak nice, they can speak all that blame, but when it comes to action in terms of the reality, then becomes a problem. Now he says he's a newscaster and all those things. You go have bro. Now let's look at some of the prerequisites for critical thinking. Some of the requirements whenever you want to develop critical thinking. One, you should have a questioning attitude. You should have a questioning attitude. You should be able to have that ability to question situations, problems. So the questioning attitude is a sensibility to a problem situations or a feeling that the individual can do something to resolve the problems that is at stake, and that may trigger student thinking. So questioning attitude is very important. That's why I said that don't shout at your children when they have that questioning attitude. They question, they want to find out, they want to offer explanation. Please don't shout them. The next two is the next one is a creative search for information. So a student who has learned to think creatively about sources of information is likely to find more significant and pertinent facts than one who relies upon traditional sources. So creative search of information, you don't really rely on one source. You should have an eclectic means, divergence means of information. That's why it's not good that even as a teacher, you rely on one textbook. When you're a teacher and you rely on the textbook supplied by government alone, which all the students are using, it doesn't make you quite unique from your students because what you are providing, they already have. That's why as a teacher, you must get diverse sources. Get some journals on what you are going to teach. Get different textbooks, maybe 2 or 3 different textbooks. Read from each of them sample the definitions and blend them for yours, so that when you provide it to the student, he cannot trace where you pick that information from. But where everything is from the textbook is having. And what difference? If you don't take care, he will not even be coming to your class, because Charlie, their own money, in your book, I will use. And when you have become predictable as a teacher, student doesn't take your class serious. Already in the SHS, we are having a problem of that nature, where because don't fail, it's creating a whole lot of disciplinary issues in the schools that we are having now. Then we have data gathering. A good data gathering skill is essential to critical thinking. For example, a student using a group of maps to study the life of people in a place will be able to envision their life more realistically. So, for example, when you have cultural issues, you are using a political map or cultural map to be able to know the life of people and other things within a certain area. And another data gathering skill that you can also use is the ability to differentiate between primary source of data and secondary source of data, which is also very good in helping your data gathering depending on the subject area, which in Unit 5 we discussed that over there. Then the ability to develop the wise to develop selectivity, that is a selection of ideas and information. So the ability to summarize in a comprehension assignment is essential when trying to think through an issue. So selectivity, we all know that it is another prerequisite for critical thinking. You cannot pull everything. So you read either through analytical means or a whole means, then you tease out the ones that could form the summary aspect of, just like you have been given a passage and you are asked to do a summary of the passage within maybe a paragraph or so. Then recognizing relationship is also another prerequisite for critical thinking, where we are saying that is the ability to use new data and to recognize previously acquired knowledge for new purposes. So the new data evidence you have vis-a-vis the previous data, how are you able to the synergy? You synchronize and try to see the differences that exist between them, and to see going forward whether you need to reject or build upon it. And that's find an expression, the concept that I call the concept of uniformitarianism. Uniformitarianism concept, where we say that whatever is happening today can be explained from the happenings of tomorrow. So we link it from the past, as the genesis of the past will give you an information of what is happening today. So what we are trying to say, that in recognizing relationship, the current data you have vis-a-vis the previous data, you combine it and see whether there's some form of synergy, there's some form of relationship, and whether there are some differences. And in the quest in doing that, the essence is to help us solve a problem that we are facing currently. That's why people are complaining that in the Galamsey fight, people are saying that the previous government also did military Operation Vanguard, Operation Hot, and Operation This, they ban and all those things. Still, the thing got worse. So NIMOS and all those things that is happening, is it not the same as the previous one? What is the difference? What is the new dimension that will help us to solve that problem? And that is a typical example of recognizing relationship between the current happenings and the previous ones. Then the last point is the testing ideas in action, which is the sixth point of good. So here we are saying that there should be a continual testing of ideas in action to be able to validate, to see whether it's reflective on current happenings or there is a need for modification. So some of the ways that a teacher can help learners to think critically is, one, to share responsibility among students. Don't be a repertoire of knowledge. Share responsibility. And that's why the standard base at the basic level, the common core, and even the senior high school standard base is more of activity-based, learner-centered. There should be more of sharing of activity where they must is one of the ways, and also having faith in your student. Don't always condemn your student. Have faith in them. You see, no matter what it takes, they have something that can be helpful. So have faith in your student. Use current issues in teaching. Use current issues when you are teaching so that your student can also be up to terms with the current happenings and all those things. There should also be exposure to different views. Encourage divergent views. When your students challenge your opinion, allow them, let them also give their perspective. Don't let it be seen as if that yours should be sacrosanct. Your ability to communicate ideas, individualization of work, giving independent assignment, and having a better study of history of your student, your subject area, and all those things also help. And making thinking exciting to your student. These are some of the ways that we can help learners to think critically. So another skill under the intellectual, don't forget that under the intellectual skills, the first one we're talking about is critical thinking. So the next one is a classification skill. So classification, we are saying the ability to order and place items in some categories using well-defined parameters. Well-defined parameters. So for one to classify, the person needs an element of observation. And also you must know the differences and the similarities between the objects or things that has been given to you to classify. So like situations, events, phenomenon can be placed in classes according to the time they occurred, the size, the magnitude of its occurrence, and the quality of that phenomenon or event or place. That are ways that you can use to classify various objects. Then we have analytical thinking. Yeah, this is where you break down facts, information, species of various elements of ideas of an issue. So one of the ways that learners can be taught analytical thinking is to call on them to analyze conclusions, to make inferences, generalizations based on evidence available or the data of information that they have collected. These are all ways to develop analytical skills. So words that can be used in questions that link itself to analytical thinking include why, contrast, determine, evidence, analyze, identify, support, compare, break down, differentiate, distinguish, illustrate, infer, outline, point out. So these are words you can use subdivide when you are constructing an item which borders on analytic. You want your student to analyze. Then we have synthesis. Synthesis level thinking skills. It involves, instead of the analysis breaking down, but the synthesis here, it involves forming, putting various pieces of information together, forming parts or relationships of ideas together to form a new idea or to give a original perspective of the concept you are dealing with. So for example, students may be taught to bring various materials together to be able to make a model on a relief. So cardboard, clay, paper machine, colors, and all those things. So even for anything that you can engage your student to bring pieces of information or ideas, things together to establish a particular model or idea or object or knowledge is way of developing their synthesis level thinking skills. Now, synthesis ability enables students to one, predict, and also to make original communications or some problems issue. So some of the words that can be associated with synthesis skills include develop, produce, put together, write, illustrate, create, formulate, suggest, design, draw up, compile, generate, organize, revise are all. Then the last one I want to touch on is the evaluation skill. And this is the highest intellectual skill and one of the highest form of critical thinking skills that you can talk of. And when we talk of evaluation, it's basically referring to the ability to make judgment or determine the quality, the value, or the worthiness of a particular idea, object, concept, or subject based on a certain criteria that you have. So in our classrooms or various activities, learners may be called to appraise an issue or discriminate between alternative decisions, actions, and measures. So when you call your student to examine, to appraise, so normally when we go for conferences and they will say they want to do an evaluation, an evaluative study, want to assess student perception of the new standard base. You are trying to make them appraise the program they are going through and how helpful the challenges and all the issues. These are all to help build their evaluative. So evaluative questions may also lead to generalization, depend on the nature of question you may pose. So example, when the question is like, assess the view that mining companies create more environmental problems in their catchment areas than they provide solutions to these problems. These are typical evaluative questions which can be prone to a number of analysis. So some of the words associated with it include appraise, evaluate, assess. Why? Judge. Do you agree? On what basis? Select, choose, decide. Which are some of the things that you can use to construct items that seeks to evaluate. Okay. So that is that for the skills. Any question up to this point? Any question? Okay, then if there are no questions, let's look at the last unit to wrap up. But please, can
Say has gone off. Oh, Stephen.
back? It was a mistake. I was stopping the share and mistakenly I clicked. So I've joined again. Why? So whilst I'm sharing, if there's any question, you can let me know.
Sir. Sir.
Yes, please go ahead.
Sir, some of us especially this course, we are not finding it easy, crowd. I don't know.
What do you mean you are not finding it easy? I don't get it.
I mean, like the understanding some of the concepts. I'm finding it very, very difficult.
Is it your first time of joining the class?
Oh no, this is not the first time.
And anytime we are teaching, I ask, is there any question? Is there anything? So that even if you have, we clarify. Why do you have to wait till this point for you to say that you don't understand?
Sometimes I understand, but like I don't even know how to put it for you to get it. Like,
So then please, at this point, it's too late for me to go back to be talking about everything. So get in touch with your colleagues who can be of help. But if there are certain areas you don't also understand, you can call me personally too. But at this point, it's too late to go back.
okay,
Why?
no problem. Yeah.
Because I always see you online. So I expect that if there is something you don't understand, you draw my attention to it. You see. And every day too, I ask. And I will offer it. Is your girlfriend here?
No, it's not like that.
Then tell your girlfriend to just allow you to focus. Because
So
this one, we came individually and we'll go individually.
So you don't have problem with geographical assets, but these areas seems like they are research. Maybe that's why he's complaining.
Pardon?
The areas that we are tackling today, it doesn't. It seems it's like research and assessment. The geographical aspect, you don't have a problem with that.
But the skills that I'm talking about.
Yeah, it seems like research.
Hey, is that so? But anyway, okay. So we want to look at rules of theories in geography, and there are a number of definitions that has been given by scholars. I know you have read, so I just want you to share with me some of the definitions we have so far as theory is concerned. Osman. As for Osman, you are one of the people who have been contributing since the beginning of this course. So I've noticed your name down. Thank you.
Okay, sir, you're welcome. Thank you. Okay. When we talk about
as for Mary there, he will not contribute to, but he will ask questions. So
They are also very good in observing.
Sure. But the observation must translate into description. You see, and explanation. If you're observing and you are not translating your observing into describing what is happening and offering some explanation as a form of contribution, then the observation is handicapped.
Sure. I'll make it active.
Okay, Osman, go ahead.
Okay, so when we talk about a theory, what comes off mind is, for me, it is a framework of ideas or principles that guides interpretation of facts and acts as a basis for action.
Yes. So a framework, principles or ideas or set of facts. Very good. I like the ideas. Oseko for yes, that's another person who also contributes.
A theory or set of ideas used to explain something. Ideas that are used to explain something.
E. Back no so E. Me E to them B class.
Osakufo, it's as if that I'm getting some feedback from your end, or am I the only one?
We can't hear what he's saying.
Oh, okay. Then Osakufo, just adjust yourself a bit and come back. So let's take Ima Amwa. Osakufo will come back.
Sir.
Yes, Ima, go ahead.
So with a theory, we are looking at a conceptual framework that provides a perspective or interpretation of reality.
Okay. Conceptual framework. Hey. What's the term? So conceptual framework. That's do what?
That provides a perspective or interpretation of reality.
That provide a perspective. Okay. But when you say conceptual framework, what do you mean by conceptual framework?
Sir, please come again.
When you say conceptual framework, what do you mean by that?
So with conceptual framework, we are looking at a set of ideas or set of ideas or relationships or concept that provide a structure for understanding and analyzing, let's say, a particular issue or phenomena. So it's a mental map.
Okay. See, I would have loved if you say a framework. Because the moment to add conceptual framework, yes, it is correct, but it moves you to a certain higher dimension of theory.
Okay,
I getting it. Okay.
Yes, please.
So thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Osakufo, if your network is better, you can go ahead. Okay, I've seen it. A theory is an idea or set of ideas used to explain. Something. It is mostly based on facts, research, and observation. Theories help us to understand why and how things happened. I like their contributions. Okay, I see. Prudence, I'm also here. Okay, you are recognized. Okay, so that I see. How many skills so far, please? What do you mean? Is that we discussed them in 4 major areas, and within each of them, there are a number of skills under it. So we have motor skills, which has a number of skills under it. We have spatial skills, we have a number of skills under it. We have that of the social skills, which also have a number of skills under it, like discussion, decision-making skills, and all those things. Then we have intellectual skills, which also have a number of skills under it, including critical thinking, classification, analytical skills, synthesis skills, evaluation skills, among others. Okay. So thank you very much for the contributions and sharing in the chat box as well. I see Stephen, let me hear you.
Sir, please, concerning the skills, assuming there will be a question, how would the form of the question? Maybe you want to ask us something, so how will it be?
Now, our question will be
concerning the skills.
What do you expect me to tell you? Assuming there will be assume there will be no question.
Sir,
assume there will be no question. I assume there will be no. I know last year there was a question like that. So last year there was a question like that. So I know that some of you are thinking that there will be, but you have to, in your lotto sticking, you have to be very smart. If there is a question came last year, how do you expect the same question to come this year? Okay, so Judith saying that a theory is an idea or set of ideas that explain how or ways certain phenomena occur. A theory is a well-substantiated explanation for a set of phenomena. Well-substantiated explanation for a set of phenomena or observation, providing a framework. Hey, providing a framework to understand and predict how things work or why things happen, often tested and refined through research and experimentation. Okay, that is Emanuela Moa, Professor Emanuela Moa, giving us a PhD definition of theory. Thank you. Augustine say, Ima, why? Geography theories try to explain how our world works, like how people interact with the environment and how places are connected. That is from Elijah Jakunu. Okay, thank you very much. In fact, all the contributions and the definitions are spot on. So wouldn't want to waste my time. Just as you have said all the definitions, so I wouldn't want to waste my time. So just as it's a body of prepositions that explains an event in a real world situation, a body of preposition, and that someone could say it's a set of ideas. Someone would say it's a conceptual framework, which someone would say it's a framework of ideas or principles that guides the interpretation of facts and acts as a basis for action. So these are all definitions that, but one of the things I want you to take note is that when a theory proves valid in different locations over a period of time, that theory graduates to become general law. So when the theory is tested in different locations, timings, over a period of time, and it's proven valid, that theory becomes a law, a general law. Okay. Now, a high-level generalization that makes up scientific theory must first show relationship between the defined variables or the concept within the theory. For example, when we are talking about the system approach, okay, that was a comment to Ima's definition. Okay. So, in a high-level generalization, one of the that makes up scientific theory. One of the things that are very unique has to be the theory should be able to show the relationship between the various variables, just like a system approach, that their parts, components are very visible and they all work in unison. So every scientific theory which is that high should be able to show clearly the variables that makes up that theory or the concept within those theory. It should also constitute a deductive system and be logically consistent. When we say deductive system, where we know that deductive is where you present the whole concept of the theory, then you digest it into the various segments, subsystems, and subparts. Bring into that unit, that's what called deductive. And it must also be a source of testable hypothesis. That is can be. That's why don't forget that we have said that when a theory is tested in various jurisdictions and it's proved valid, then it can graduate to law. So every theory can be subject to testing and it can be criticized, it can be subject to criticisms, it can be praised, and can be refined at every point in time because there's no theory that is sacrosanct. Now, some characteristics of theory, there are a number of them. We are saying that a good theory is built of parts that fit together logically. That means that every theory must have various elements or components, and these elements or components must work together. It must fit from one end to the other. That's why in most of the framework, that's why when someone says conceptual framework, every framework shows you a map of all the issues that will lead to the solution of the problem, with arrows connecting each other when transcending from one point to the other. So every good theory should have various parts built together that fit logically. And we are saying that a theory in geography should also offer a reasonable answer to many questions on various geographical issues. That means that the theory should be very inclusive, very comprehensive in trying to help appreciate geographical concept issues and otherwise. And a theory should be able to accommodate new data based on the evidence available. So that means that the theory must be dynamic. When there's new evidence, the theory must be able to be adaptable to the new happenings and be able to be modified or revisited to accept the new evidence that is what available. A good theory should also, a theory is better if it is justifiable or disconfirmable. Yes. You cannot just stand up and use any theory. That's why even in research wise, you must justify the basis of using certain theories in your work. So to assess the validity of a theory, it is vital that the theory has the potential to be disconfirmed. And you can only disconfirm a theory when there's a new evidence or your new experiment suggests that this theory must be modified. In fact, one of the things that have come to play is that, the Jean Piaget the Jean Piaget cognitive development theory, that demonstration that he used, the stages of growth, where he gave those ages range that the sensory motor stage, the pre-operational, formal, and all those things, he gave years. But now research has shown that those years, the current crop of children that are coming, some of them even do not even get to that year, and they are exhibiting characteristics for 11 years and 9 years. So that should tell you that that theory needs to be readjusted based on the new evidence, can let that theory to be revisited, to be disconfirmed, and you can only disconfirm when there's a new evidence, a new data that suggests that the theory is archaic. We'll look at one of the theory which have this situation over there. And we are saying that a theory is better if it is very economical. Means that economical in the sense that the theory should be found on a few unapproved assumptions. If you have a theory which is subject to a lot of issues, critics, and a lot of inaccuracies of assumptions, it's a major problem. But if it is unproven, some few unproven assumptions as possible, which just requires some simplistic mechanics to be able to help adjust to explain this, it's better than being subjected to a lot of inaccuracies. That becomes a problem. See, and so a theory should also be able to stimulate the creation of new research techniques and discovery of new knowledge. These are all characteristics of research theory. Sorry. So a theory should be able to stimulate creation of new research and discovery of new knowledge. And it should also be able to help any competent person to understand the issues that the theory seeks to address, the terms in the theory, the key assumptions in the theory, and the logical premises underlying these theories. So these are some of the theory characteristics that every good theory should be able to possess, or should be depicting. Okay. These are examples of theories that it can be seen in geography. There are a number of the theories that are seen in geography. So these are some of the examples of theories. The Perot's growth pool theory, Alfred Wegener's industrial location theory, Wundt-Tunnel theory of agricultural land use, Garner's Meadows theory of circular and cumulative causation, demographic transition theory, the dependency theory, division theory of peniplanation, that's the cycle of erosion, the Wenger's theory of plate tectonic, theory of isostasy, Chrysler central place, Walter Chrysler central place theory. These are all theories in geography. There are a lot of them. We are going to take, I think, few of them to try to understand how this theory works and their criticisms. Then we end with a section. Mary, your hand was up.
Okay, so I was about to asking about the one of the characteristics and the points is you said that a theory is better if it is economical. So economical in which way? Economical in which way? Please let me understand more, please. Thank you.
So when I was explaining that one, your attention was not there.
Oh, I was paying attention.
The
I
economical we are
didn't chip
talking, we are
in
not
like
talking about economical in economic terms, so, or
okay.
monetary terms. So we are talking about the fact that when we say the theory is better if it is economical, in the sense that we are saying that if you have a theory which is subject to a lot of inaccuracies on proving assumptions, it doesn't make the theory look good. So economical means that if there are even some assumptions that are not proven, it should be few, it should be less, it should be minimal. That's why I say economical. So that it does not require overhaul of the theory, but some few simple mechanisms that can be used to make some adjustment to reinforce the theory is better. That's why we say economical in the context of theory. So when we say a theory is better if it is economical, what we are trying to say is that that particular theory should be such that some assumptions, if needs to be not proven, it shouldn't be too many, it should be few, so that just small readjustment and those things could make the theory work better. But if it appears that most of the assumptions in the theory is mostly unproven, inaccuracies and those things, it makes the theory not fit for purpose, and that means that it must go through a total overhaul, which is a whole lot of deal on its own. Please are you with me?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Now we want to look at one of the theory. Yeah, Anthony.
Yes, sir. I wanted to know what process does a set of ideas need to go through before it is accepted as a theory? Because you are saying that if a theory has few unproven assumptions, then it is economical, meaning that if a certain theory has has many unproven assumptions, then it means in the first place it doesn't even qualify to be called a theory.
No, it's a, when someone is developing his theory, the person is developing his theory based on his context, based on the situations where he finds himself. You see, and don't forget that for it to become a theory, it may be subject to other jurisdictions. Some of the assumptions will fit other places. Some of them may work. Some of them may not. So when these theories are subject to some scrutiny vis-a-vis current happenings, maybe at the time that theory was propounded, the process it went through was perfect in that jurisdiction. It was feasible. When you applied it, it was working. But with time, there may be certain happenings and occasions which will subject that theory to some form of assumptions not valid, looking at the current exigencies or time or happenings. So whenever someone is developing a theory, he doesn't look at the whole world before he provides that theory. You look at every theory emanates, start as a form of concept, framework, and those things emerging from his point of view. That's why I say it's a set of prepositions, set of ideas, set of framework. But these ideas and those is emanating from an individual with his perceptions and view from his environment. That's why we are going to look at some of these theories, and you will know what we are trying to talk about. Are you getting it, Anthony?
Yes, sir, sure. Thank you.
So let's look at Alfred Wegener's industrial location theory. So he's a German geographer, and he propounded this theory to show how location of an industrial firm affect the fortunes in terms of the output and the cost of production. So, according to Alfred, he believes that every entrepreneur locates in an area where he can maximize his income or profit. That means that industries that are sited at least cost location. Such sites are where the transport costs are at a minimum. into Obia establish industry, he wants to site it at a place where there's that least cost. Maybe the transportation from that point. A minute, let me slot in my charger, the laptop charger. A minute. Oh, okay. So, you see, this was his idea of his industrial location theory as a German geographer. He believes that any industry that is sited at a place where the cost of transportation to that place and to the market and the raw materials and those things are minimum, he believes that it makes industrial sense to produce there to make income. So based on these ideas, proposition that Alfred was having, brought about the industrial location theory. So out of that, there was this following, he came out with some assumptions, and every theory has assumptions. One of his assumptions is that the firm should operate in an area of uniform terrain. Uniform terrain means that he is trying to say that the firm or the industry that is operating is operating in a terrain where it's more or less like a flat land. There are no highland, mountainous, any barrier that will inhabit his activities as a firm. You see, and some raw materials occur in fixed location, whilst others are found everywhere. Another assumption that some raw materials are fixed, a certain fixed location, you can't get it anywhere, but others can be obtained anywhere. So these are another assumption. So you let's go through after we'll see. There are also another assumption is that there are standardized wage rates, according to him. So there's a standardized wage rate for the firm. There's also the existence of perfect competition and operation of economic man. So that is economic man would mean a rational man. And every rational economic man seeks to make what? Maximize profits in a competition or in a business. Every rational human being who goes into business, the idea is to make profit. I don't think anyone wants to go and do business and make losses. Then what is the essence of that business you want to do? So if it's a rational being and you need to make profit, is one of his assumptions for the theory. Then transport cost is determined by the weight of load and distance. So the weight of the load and the distance you travel will determine your transport cost. And there's a single market devoid of contact with other economic regions. So there's only one single market. We do not have contact with other regions. That is what one of his assumptions. So this is what he represented in terms of his case. So we have the one where we have the weight losing industry and weight gaining industry. Now, if you look at the first triangle, and I believe that you are with me. If you look at the first triangle, you could see that the market is up. We have the raw material 1 down and the raw material 2. And you could see that the first triangle, the location of the industry is closer to where the raw materials are. Have you seen it? as compared to,
Yes.
and look at where the industry is sited and from the distance from the industry to that of the market. So it means that the distance from the first triangle, from the location of the industry to the market, is very wide. It's very wide. And that's what we call the weight losing industry. Now, look at the second triangle. You see that now the site, the location of the industry is close to the market. Have you seen it? As compared to the two, as compared to the two raw materials, which he termed as weight gaining industry. So that's the pictorial graphical presentation of his model. Now we are going to look at what he means by loose weighting and gaining industry. This is the first diagram which was initially put in place. So we have the raw material 1, raw material 2, and then we have the market up there. So we have the least cost location, which is the P1. Least cost location at the center. Then we have P3 and P2. So the P2 is the weight losing, where the citation of the industry is closer to the raw material as compared to that of the P3, which is the one weight gaining, which is the one closer to the market, which I showed in the other diagram. So now let's look at the, now the diagram shows cases of two raw material sources. That is the raw material 1 and raw material 2, and one single market, which was shown in the triangle. If transport costs are assumed to be the same for both raw materials and finished product, then the theory states that the least cost location will be at the center of the locational triangle. That is on the assumption that if the transport costs are the same, but he has forgotten that in the assumption he said that transport cost is determined by the weight of the load and also the distance. You remember that he said that in the assumption? Are you with me?
Yeah, we are here. Yes, sir.
Yes.
we remember.
Now he
Yes,
comes
sir.
here to say that if transport costs are assumed to be the same, then the least cost will be at the center, like the second diagram that I showed you. The weight loss ratio is the relationship between the weight of the raw material used in the production and the finished product. And it is out of this concept that we have the weight losing industry. That type of industry where the least cost location is near to the raw material source, that is near P2 rather than P1. Then weight gaining industry, the type of industry where the least cost location lies near the market. So what he's trying to tell you is that when you are producing closer to the market center, you gain than when you are producing close to the raw material. Because don't forget that in the assumption he has stated that the transport is determined by the weight of the load and the distance. If it is the same, irrespective of both the raw material and the finished product, if the transport costs are the same, then being at the center, citing the industry at the center, we call the least cost location. But since the assumption is the fact that the transportation cost is determined by the weight and the distance, then when it is closer to the market, because the market is where we send the finished products. As for the raw material side, you get the raw material, which is not so that heavy loaded as compared to the finished product, which other things have been added that you are transporting to the market. So based on that, there was some criticism that was leveled One of the criticism of the theory is that Alfred did not initially make allowances for spatial variation in labor availability, labor costs, and the magnetic effect on industrial location of existing agglomerations. One, you remember they said the wage rate are the same, they are fixed. But you have to know that there's no possibility to say that apart from one in that there's no other. You said that there's only single market which is devoid of any contact elsewhere. But you should know that there are spatial variations in labor. When we say spatial variations, in the earth that we live, there are certain labor which have different expertise, different varieties of taste and all those things availability. He did not take into consideration that one. Labor costs. And even that magnetic effect on industry location of existing other industries at certain places. Another criticism is that it put undue emphasis on transport costs and incorrectly assumed that such costs are directly related to distance and weight. But in modern industry, transport costs may form a relatively small percentage of the total cost of what production. So, you see, he has come out with a theory. So you realize that he has propounded his theory. Others have taken the theory, look at the assumptions, and relate it to current happenings. And these are the criticisms that they are offering. And that's the beauty of academia. You may do your work, someone will pick the work, look at the inaccuracies, and short some challenge. It doesn't mean that the theory, but as at the time that the theory was propounded. And you see that some of the assumptions, like the things we are talking about, make sense. Then geographical patterns of demand is scattered over wide areas and not a single market. It's not possible to say that the whole area, there's only one market. There's not even some minor markets scattered around. And we all know that the nature of geographical pattern demands that there is some scattered. There may not be a bigger market like what you expect it to be, but there could be some other minor markets which may also have an influence. So this brings in the theory of maximum demand. That is a location where goods are likely to be highly demanded as compared to other locations. And that's for any enterprise, the best location involves both the minimum cost and maximum demand. So you don't only look at the transportation cost, the weight to determine, but with the advent of modern industry, transport cost is one of the relative percentage of their production. Especially when you have industry where they have to import most of their raw materials and other things from outside the country. Obviously, such people, you cannot say that they should go and establish their businesses in the country they import, but they will be close to the harbors where they can easily ship and bring it to their. So this time around, this industrial look, there are a lot of nuances when it comes to industrial production, benefits, profits, and all those things. So these are some of the things that people have raised so far as the theory is concerned, and which is the beauty of academia. You see, any question on that before we add another theory and wrap it up? Yes, please. So, yes, you might go ahead.
All right, sir. So his emphasis on the location cost You see, even if where your market is, where your firm or your industry is, and then where the market is located, it does not even matter, because if your good is in high demand, you can even add extra charges to cater for the cost of transportation, and at
Yes.
the end you are going to get profit as well. So looking at where your firm is and where the market is, it doesn't matter. What matters is if your good is in high demand, you're going to make profits as well.
That is it. And that's what the third criticism was talking about, that in consideration, you should look at the demand, the maximum demand of the goods. So you see that you have also been able to identify some criticism, and that's the beauty. Okay, Osman. Okay. Now let's look at the demographic transition model, this is a model that seeks to, or theory that seeks to explain how developed or contemporary developed countries have gone through the phases of life to where they are now. That's why this theory suggests that those so-called developed countries we are talking about today, at every point in time, they were like we, the underdeveloped countries, and they have gone through certain stages that they have gotten to where they are today. So virtually means that whatever we are going through today is a stage that we may also go through to get to where they have gotten to at that time. And that brought about the 4 stages of the population history that we call the demographic transition theory or model. The 4 stages include, I said there was a stage where there's high birth rate and high death rate. There's a point where there was high birth rate and low death rate. And there's a point where there's a declining birth rate and low death rate. And lastly, a point where there will be low birth rate and low death rate. Now, he also reiterated the last stage is real and obviously could not be maintained for many generations without a large in-migration to keep the society ongoing. So it means that the last stage, it has been very difficult because to achieve low birth rate and low death rate. And that one, to get that stage, it may require a lot of migration factors to be considered before. Now, let's look at some of the explanation he offered at those stages. So this is the diagram of the demographic transition model. So we have the death rate, which at the beginning, which was high from stage 1. Then stage 2, it started declining. Then stage 3 was declining and that level. Then the birth rate, which was high from the beginning, then it go to right after the stage 2, it started declining and it was fluctuating at stage 4. And you see the population growth also with a red line climbing in that dimension. Okay. Now let's look at the stage 1. This he was talking about in the middle of the 18th century, both birth and death rates had fluctuated between 30 to 50 per thousand in most European countries for several centuries. And these fluctuations were as a result of that the high birth rate and death rate was as a result of these wars, the First World War, Second World War, diseases, outbreak of diseases, famines where people are not getting food, hunger, and all those things. That characterize the high death rate, and also some situation of birth, they were fluctuating. So the general situation was one in which population remained at low though fluctuating level with high birth rate and death rate maintaining a rough balance in the first stage. So that changes in population totals were slow and slight in comparison with the later period. So in the first stage, high and death rate were high. But in the second stage, it occurred in the latter part of the 18th century, going into the 19th century. And this time, the death rate began to decline in many European countries as a result of modernization, which brought about improved healthcare, better diet, higher income levels, and political stability. Don't forget that in the 18th, because of political instability, wars, crime, geopolitical issues like what is happening, poor health issues, diet issues, famine, and those things was contributing to the high death rate and those things. Life expectancy increased from under 40 years to 60 years. Birth rate did not immediately reduce, and high birth rate and falling death rates led to sharp increases in population growth compared to the past census. Because at this stage, you could see that the death rate has begun to decline, but still the birth rate was going up. So that led to the spike in the population growth. So this stage marked the beginning of the demographic transition of the Western European fertility. That is the transition from stable or slow-growing population first to rapidly increasing numbers and then begin to what? Decline. Oh, sorry, I'm going back. So the reasons for the increasing birth rates include early marriages due to the improved socioeconomic conditions. So early marriages is not only found in Ghana. In all those developed countries, early marriages are some of the experiences that contributed to the high population growth. Now, the third stage, birth rates began to decline dramatically due to the development of predominantly urban industrial society, where the desire for and possibly the economic value of large family decreased, and everybody want to industrialize and all those things. And there were also better methods of birth control measures. Those contraceptives and birth control measures were also made possible for parents to restrict the size of their families if they wish to do so. And remember, where China even brought a policy of one-child policy and certain incentive they also brought to bear. Then the last stage, which was by the middle of 20th century, way back 1950, many European countries had reached this stage of the demographic transition and naturally increases rates in Europe today are generally below 1%. Now, this pattern, as we are talking about, occurred in Oceania, North America, Japan, and Singapore. That these four stage things happened over there. So there's an explanation to what he's saying, that every country who is called developed country, as one way or the other, has gone through these phases. And when you look at it and align it to what you look at population issues like the China case and some developed country case, you could align that this theory really can be applicable in every context. True or false? True or false?
True.
It's true.
Though you could see that in his analysis, he never talked about Africa. He never talked about Ghana and all those things. But if you look at what the issues in there and you apply it to Ghana, you could also see some fit in there. Though there may be some nuances when it comes to Ghanaian context. But generally, these things may fit until certain new evidence to come to disprove some of these happenings. You can say that this theory can also be applicable in Ghana. Now, the last one we wrap up is the Buntinel theory of agricultural land use. And he is also a German who owned agricultural estates near Rostock in eastern Germany. And he has the aim of discovering the laws which govern the prices of agricultural goods and the laws by which variations are translated into patterns of land use. So, what Wundt wanted to do is that he wanted to assess the impact of distance on patterns of land. So he saw distance as an important factor in agricultural production. And also to explain how spatial arrangement of land use in relation to distance and transport costs. Then also to help consider the farming activity that was to be undertaken at different locations from the market in order to minimize transport costs and maximize profits. So in his, what he wanted to do is that he wanted to look at the city, where the location of the city and where the farmlands are, and the kind of crop you can produce in order to reduce transport costs and maximize profits. And that brought about these assumptions that he also put forward. So one of the assumptions of his model is that there is a large plain with one large town or city at the center, which serve as the only market. There are no other towns. All settlements are rural. Is it possible? There's another assumption that soil fertility, relief, and climate are the same throughout the plain. Is it possible that soil fertility, relief can be the same throughout the plain?
No.
Then the
No.
central city can be reached by road only. By road only, not by water, not by air, not by anything. According to himself, by road only. And by means of oscarts, carts drawn by horses. And I believe that you know oscart.
Oh, you know that. No, sir.
Oh, sir. Even if you go up north, there where they have horses with certain basket at the back that they sit and ride, those kind of and it's of the view that every farmer in the plain is a rational human being who wants to maximize what profit. The cost of production in terms of seed, fertilizer, labor, etc., and the cost of transportation are the same. Agriculture are uniform throughout. They are the same throughout the plain. How do you say transportation cost, fertilizer, and all these things are the same?
Yeah, we're the same.
In fact, at a point in time, so this is the diagram. So this is the diagram he projected. And he's of the view that because the city, the central city is where it's labeled, look at the wilderness, the black one. That's the central city. So he's of the view that because there are certain products, the next one is that intensive farming or dairy. And he's of the view that because these intensive dairy products are perishable, like milk, vegetables, and all those things are perishable products, it should be produced closer to the city so that the moment you produce, you can submit it to the city for, because it's in high demand. And these are perishable products, we use it daily. That is the argument. So he will produce intensive farming or dairy closer to the city. Then the next, which is the green, is the forest, because he believes that at that time of the theory, fuel, wood is the source of fuel for cooking, for lighting, and all those things. So that should be produced also closer to the city. Before he talked about crops, grains, which he said that grains, they last long, they are not perishable, and so it can take some time to get to the city. And the last one is the ranching or the livestock, animal product. He's of the view that animals can even transport themselves to the market, to the city. So even if it's produced far away from the market, they can transport themselves to the city without any huge transport cost. So that is the whole concept of his model. But there were some criticisms which led to, let's talk about the criticisms first. One of the criticisms is that now there are modern transport systems such as railways, articulated tracks, lake steamers, ocean liners, which are more cheaper means of transport than horse-drawn carts. I remember there was a time I saw a huge truck using to transport livestock from north to Accra. So these days, you cannot say that there's only transport by road. So no longer are the cost of transporting agricultural use strictly proportional to the bulk and distance of transporting goods. And much depends on the means of transport and the goods transported. Another criticism that with regards to the farming system as sedentary farming such as pig rearing and poultry. Now farmers are likely to buy their inputs rather than to produce their own animal feed. Hence, effect of distance will be minimal as compared to what he was trying to say. And the last one too, we are saying that government subsidies, grants, enable farmers to set up farms in areas which otherwise would not be very viable for them to do it there, for them viable for free market conditions. Now, government subsidies, grants, and those things. Now we're even having a greenhouse farming and all these kind of things at play. So that makes some of his assumptions not tenable. You see. And the changing taste and demand of the city dwellers in many due to modernization have rendered some of his assumptions irrelevant. For example, the forest zone near the city will no longer be important in this age of electricity. But now there's electricity, there's solar system, so producing forests closer to the city is not viable again because of previously. And the act of storage, canning, fridge nowadays have greatly increased the variety of food availability. And even these days, the perishable dairy product you are talking about. Now there are cars that have refrigerators. Nursery Ghana able to produce fine ice in Tema and they're able to go through all the hinterlands because most of their cars have refrigerators and other things to store some of these things. You get it? So these are some of the things that have resulted to, and out of this criticism, in fact, at a point in time, he accepted it and made some modifications to the theory. Which, if you look at the explanation after modification of the original theory, now he came to say that there was a distortion of the zonation of agricultural land use pattern. There will be a smaller market town beside the central city. Soil fertility will vary in some parts of the plain, but at first he said it was the same. There will be a navigable river on which transportation will be faster than the cheaper one. At first he said there's only by road. But you see, after the criticism, he modified it and brings in some of these things to take care of other criticism that has been leveled against him. So these are some of the things we talk about when we talk about theories and how theories can be shaped. Having looked at that, we want to end by looking at the role of theory in geography. We are saying that theory help us to reflect the facts of the real world. So issues about fact of distribution of physical and cultural phenomena, events and processes, human environment interaction. For example, this industrial locational theory is telling us giving us idea about facts about so far as the physical and cultural issues are concerned. All the theories we have been talking about, the Wundt agricultural land use, transition models are giving you the facts about the real happenings within the world. Theories also help us to explain past events or occurrences so far as geography is concerned. That's why in archaeology, we are able to identify certain traces of animals within geography to know that in the past, these things were happening here and there. It also enables geographers to make accurate predictions about events, processes, or changing phenomena. So based on this transition mode, we can say that, okay, then Ghana will also get to a stage where death rate will be low and the birth rate will also be low based on the demographic transition. It also offers practical guidance in solving daily problems, challenges that confront geographers. You see, so based on these components of the theory, we're able to guide us to solve situational issues. So if that, for example, the demographic transition, if that's the case, then as Ghana, what measures can we put in place to ensure that we move from stage 1 to stage 2? Are you getting it? And all these kind of transition. It also helps in summarizing or giving meaning to existing knowledge by systematically organizing and simplifying it into meaningful and verifiable statement. Because the theory has components, and these components also help to shape the understanding of what is happening and how it can also help us in explaining the existing and what is also happening with these verifiable issues so far as the theory is concerned. And lastly, we can also say that theory helps to integrate human and physical geography, how the environment is influencing human settlements and activities, and the other way. And that's why we have what we call the environmental determinism theory and environmental possibility, telling you that to a larger extent, the environment dictates the life of man. And the environmental possibilities also said that, yes, but man is also influencing the environment by adapting, modifying, changing it to suit its needs and demands. So these are some of the roles that theories play in the area of geography. Any question up to this point?
So, sir, if a theory has a lot of criticism, will you still call it theory? Because initially we said theory should be more economical. So in this case, if it has a lot of criticism, will you still call it theory?
You see, in first place, the person has done his theory. Based on the time that he used, his assumptions and everything, it was probably accurate. And he has brought it out.
Okay.
And there has been evidence over a period of time suggesting that some of the assumptions, a number of them, is not up to date or it's not in tune with the current time. What you do, you can't say that it's not theory.
Okay.
But it can be modified. But we are saying that one of the characteristics of a good theory is that it should not have a lot of assumptions unproven.
Okay. Yeah.
Unproven. It should be less. That's why I say characteristics of a good theory.
Theory.
Yes.
So I got it. Thank you.
Any other? Okay. So in absence, this brings to the end of our course. And I want to thank you so much for... Yes, please.
Sir, can we also say that a theory should be able to describe the relationship between cause and effect? Or it should be able to show...
Yeah, there's a theory like that over there. There's a theory like that over there.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much. And I think when it's getting to quiz time, maybe we can talk about quiz. So for now, maybe I'll leave you to have some refreshing. When it's getting to quiz time.
Is somewhere next week, bro. Our quiz is somewhere next week, God willing.
It's next
2 weeks. Next 2 weeks.
Come again. Next 2 weeks. Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. I think your quiz is on the quiz 1. It's on unit 1 and unit 2. Unit 1 and unit 2. And
okay, sir.
There are 20 items. With we have 15 multiple choice. 15 multiple choice are provided options for you that you select. Then you have 5 true or false. 5 true or false. Are you getting it?
Okay, sir.
And yeah, most of the questions are from unit 1 and few from unit 2. Right. And those who have the material, some of the review questions, try to solve it. The objective question at the back of the book, try to solve it. Okay. So thank you very much.
Okay,
And
sir.
have
Sir.
yes, please.
Sir, please. I didn't hear it well because of my network problem. That is why. I'm asking of.
I said that quiz 1 is unit 1 and unit 2. The quiz 1, unit 1 and unit 2.
Okay, sir.
The quiz 1.
Okay,
and
thank you, sir.
15 multiple choice and 5 true or false.
Okay. Okay. Okay, thank you, sir.
After that, we can talk about exams. Okay.
Okay,
so
sir.
have a pleasant day. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
And those who
God bless.
have the material, like I said, if you try your
May God
review
bless
questions, the objective questions at the back of the book, it will help you a lot.
I guess.
Okay. Have a good evening. Good morning. So, bye for now.
Kindly speak for a short discussion.
I started to here.
Ibrahim. Ibrahim. Hello.
Sir.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah,
hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, please. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Please. Yesterday I had discussion with the lecturer concerning the books, and with nature of geography, I think the books are left with only 4, so we are done with the distribution. However, he told me that we are going to have other courses. He's going to teach us maybe probably 3 courses in addition. So those who need those books, we have to get all the names together and send the books, the 3 books in bulk, because sending it one by one, he is incurring cost. And the books are not compulsory; it is optional. So,
Okay,
please,
so
at the due,
we'll make a list like the one you did on the platform earlier.
yes. So,
And
because by the end of next month, we are going to start the block 2. So that is what we are going to do. But this time, please, those who need the book for the block 2, kindly you send your money or your names early, please.
Okay, we will do that.
Thank you, please.
Please, Mr. Steven. Mr. Steven.
Yes,
I
sir.
requested you.
Steven, give us your number
Yes,
so that
please.
I will chat to you privately and to talk to
I request you that you share the. You said there are some MCQs, multiple choice questions at the back.
At the back of the book. Okay.
Yeah, we don't have book, so
Please, those having issue share it. We beg.
share it
I'm
on
going
the
to do that
platform.
right away.
Does
I'll do
it
that
have to
right away.
Are the questions answered?
No, please. You have to answer it yourself. You have to answer the questions yourself. I'll share the questions.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I will still call him concerning. I will share the questions on the WhatsApp platform, but I will share it on the Telegram.
Okay.
And I will still call him concerning the quiz 2. I will discuss that with him. So if maybe possibly he could help us with something, then fine. As he.
Please, I need help with the text. I'm not sure.
Please,
hello.
Please.
This is just a suggestion.
Of us having issue with the. Please, can you hear me?
Your line is breaking. Your line is breaking very badly.
Hello, please. I want to pass on a comment.
Okay, please.
Imam, I want to make a comment with the with regard.
Okay.
Questions in the book. You see, with the groups that we are in, I am only suggesting that Stephen, if you are sharing it, don't share it in the group that doctor is on. Probably someone might. You see, it is something that he's selling, and then sharing it for free. Your intellectual property, sharing something for free should be something that it's not good. One can say, "Oh, so I'm only suggesting that if you share group that
no say open more masters PhD near with opportunity it's more than the who are where you people know say you are that far for MPP. The beginning here process say who was certificate.
Crispin.
Yeah, will be the party that you will leave you.
Please, can you hear me out? Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes. We are here.
Yeah, we are here. Are you there, please? Hello.
Yeah, we are here.
Okay. Concerning the group, the reason why I was taking the numbers is this. You see, we have more groups. Please, are you there?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we have more groups. So those of us doing geography as major, in the next block, we are not going to send information in other groups. So I'm going to create one group for us, so that whatever information will be in that particular group, and we wouldn't allow other individuals to be joining that group, so that everything that we have will be in one group. Other than that, we will create group for each course, and we will have more groups on our phones. So I want us to have only one particular group, so that when we are dealing with geomorphology, every information will come in that particular group. Other than that, you create group for geomorphology, we create one for other courses, and we will have issues, we have problems. So in case there is a past question, that one group, that is where every course, every information will be posted in that particular group. And I know we are about 36. So the total number will be either 36 or 4, because I'll add some of the lectures to it. That is my humble suggestion.
Okay, bro. So
Okay,
how
nice
do
one,
you get that
Corfred.
into that many group?
Yeah, so with the phone number that I have, I'm going to repost the phone number again. So please, you add your number to it. Those in
Okay,
geography,
some of us
add
thought
your numbers.
it's for those who are buying the book. That is why we have not added ours.
Oh no! Initially,
sure.
The templates were 2. I had 2 templates. The templates were 2. So I'm going to put that one to there, so that please you add your number and your location. The location is there, so that in case of any issue, you know how to contact you.
You are
going to do it right now, okay?
I'll do that, please. But let's finish with this, then you know, so that we can move some the other groups. We can leave those groups and join that. That's one particular group. Please. Thanks for your time, and God bless us all.
Please, I have something to say.
Okay, please, I'm listening.
So please, we've all done well, and we've all disciplined ourselves throughout our studies period. Now we are left with few weeks to end this the first block. I would want to plead with ourselves so that, in fact, if there is anything that you would do to sail through this course successfully, you share with other colleagues. If you have a method, if you have any way that you would use to be successful in this course, share with other colleagues. In fact, we are not individual in this process. One way or one way or the other, I may need your help, you may need my help somewhere. So please let us help ourselves so that we can all end the semester successfully. Thank you.
That's very nice of you.
I've
Done well.
please,
Thank you very much.
can I have something to say? So can we have maybe a day for this group discussion via a link? That is okay.
Yes, yes, of course.
That
Yeah.
is okay.
Yes,
Okay,
that's
that is fine. That is fine. That is fine.
Offense,
And
our
in
program,
fact, please, you see, some of the lectures are good. I don't know if this session is recorded.
I'm sure.
Oh, then later we talk about that.
Okay, so please, I'll post a link on the page so that we will have group discussion perhaps tomorrow.
okay.
Or tomorrow in the evening, perhaps in the evening will help. So please, those of us who understood the topics very well, lectures.
Okay, 7. For the sake of my network, please, I want to go off for
No,
now.
Stephen, wait. Okay, please.
Because
Thank you.
I'll get in touch with you.
Okay, please.
Thank you very much.
Please. Bye.